Okay, YouTubers, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV. Another quick game of interplanetary ice spy going on here. Back to Mars, not in Gale Crater, but we are looking at avalanches on Mars, or in my opinion, waterfalls. Now, why do I think these are waterfalls and not avalanches, you may ask? Well, I shall explain. There's two of these. There was a recent discussion on my page, ArtAlienTV Mars Magazine, on Facebook here. My Facebook group, I should say, not page, and we were discussing one of these images, and in fact I did publish one of these on one of my videos years ago, and I couldn't find it, and some people on the page said, oh, we would like to see that, it just looks interesting, and I can't find the original image or video clip of this particular thing that I discussed. It's in one of my very old videos, and I can't remember which one it is. I've been going through them, can't find it. I think I only mentioned it briefly. It wasn't the main part of the video, so I thought I'd go back over it again and have another look, because these are interesting images and quite stunning, actually, I think. These are from the HiRISE, Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter HiRISE camera. The most powerful, probably, satellite mounted camera stroke telescope that we have. Very, very powerful indeed. This thing has got the zoom on it is absolutely unbelievable. I can't remember the exact specs of it now, but it's on par with the Hubble telescope anyway. It's very powerful indeed. It's a large telescope with a very good high quality digital camera rigged up to it, and it takes quite stunning images of the Mars surface, and often comes up some really interesting stuff. So we have two things here. We got this one here, which is ESP underscore 016228 underscore 2650, and there's this one here, which is got a very similar number. Both the links for these will be below, as usual, in the description, so you can download. And this one's even got like an MP4 you can watch, like a little video clip explaining what they think it is, and it gives you a description here. As this one does. They're very similar images, in fact, and I think they're probably the same area, taken on different years. One of these was taken back in October 2011, and this one I think was 2013, yeah, a couple of years later, just over 2 years later. So, very similar spot, and similar things going on here. Now, I've got a couple of clips of these. Now, the problem is some of these, if you download them, are very large. You're probably better off going for one of these wallpaper images here, which is what I've done. But you could also go for one of these really large JP2 extras or JP2s or whatever. But some of these are massive. I mean, they really are huge. So you can, if you like, and you'll get the whole image then. But then it would be difficult to look at. Because not all programs are capable of opening a JP2 file, and you would need something like HiView. Now, HiView you can get for free from NASA and on various download sites. This is basically designed for looking at really large images, and here we have such an image. Here it is. Zoom in and try and censor it for you. Now, unfortunately, it's upside down, the image, which is really quite annoying. So what you've got to do really is get the right part of the image, which is near the center of the image, line it up, and then take a clip of it, like so. But it is quite difficult to view with this thing. It's a bit cumbersome, and what I prefer to do is to download the wallpaper version of the image and then just rotate it, and it's a lot easier to do. But you can see here, now this is upside down, these look like waterfalls, and this is a cloud of dust which has been caused by the water hitting the dry dirt at the bottom of this ridge or escarpment, whatever you want to call it, cliff, right? But what I'll do, I'll show you the clips, because that will make more sense if I show you the clips, because I've been rotating them round so you can see it in a more kind of sensible angle. But there are a number of these, and let's show you the larger image first, which is what I just showed you, but I've flipped it round. Okay, that kind of makes more sense, but you've got to kind of tilt your head to the right to look at it. You've got ice here. This is a thick ice layer, and then you have all these rock layers on this cliff edge. And what I think is happening here is that the ice has been melting, and there's been a sudden kind of outpouring of liquid water from the surface up here, which has kind of burst out from under the ice here. Probably this ridgeline probably heated up from the sun, and it's melted the ice on the edge, and it's kind of just suddenly started flowing, and perhaps some large pieces of ice have been dislodged, or rock even, and have tumbled down into the dry area below, disturbing the dust. Okay, that's my opinion. Now, if you look at the official explanation, it doesn't say that. Let's go back to the page. Here it says it could possibly be water, but they're saying it's ice that's caused it, okay? What does it say here? These layers exposed in the scarp face that cuts through them diagonally across the sub-image. The bright similar material at the lower left is the top of the cliff where we have caught another avalanche as it falls down the steep slope towards the upper right of the image, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. A large cloud, approximately 200 meters across, that cloud of dust, reddish dust, has been kicked up at the base of the scarp. Fine tendrils of bright wisps are visible further up the cliff face. These may be individual falls of material before spreading out as the avalanche plummets downward. Material. So they're not actually saying it's water, which I think it is. But it may well be ice. It may be crystallized water, you know, basically lots and lots of ice falling down, but it doesn't look like it. It really, when you look closely at these things, as often is the case, you find that it doesn't really fit what they're telling us. This one's actually a bit more spectacular, so I'm going to show you the close-up to that now very quickly. Okay, it's this one. And first of all, yeah, let's have a look at the close-up, because that will save time. I can put more close-ups and clips of these in at the end. And I actually posted this on Facebook a couple of years ago, and I did mention it in the video. Here's the clip I used. And you can see the ice at the top here. It's like icing. And the very straight down cliff edge with the different strata going across. And when you zoom in, you can see what looks like water bursting out from these layers here, and then coming down, hitting the ground, and causing a dust cloud, which is 600 feet across, approximately, from there to there, which is pretty big. So the scale of this is pretty enormous, really, and you can even see smaller, what look like smaller outflows here, further over, and when you look down here, it looks like water gushing out from under the ridge as well. So it looks like it's filtering through all this rock here, trickling through, and then gushing out from underneath as well, as the polar ice up here, or ice cap, or ice layer melts, and then water then filters through the rock, and you can see it running down. Very interesting. Is there a higher resolution one of that? There's another angle here. This is a cool one. And you can actually see in this image what looks like running water coming across here as well. This is from another angle. Really nice. This isn't exactly the same cloud, I don't think, actually. It may be, or probably taken seconds before or after. I'm not sure, actually. Avalanche clouds, high-rise. It's still a high-rise image, obviously. And here's another clip. I took a close-up of that. Hang on, let's get in closer. There's this one. This is the more recent one, I think. And this looks like two waterfalls coming straight down. Water coming out here, and then gushing out underneath as well. Okay. Pretty cool. Very cool images. I love the high-rise images. They really are absolutely lovely to look at, but they are a bit unwieldy and can be difficult to process, especially if you get the larger JP2 images. Some of them like a whole gigabyte, you know, it's absolutely crazy. There's not really any real need to do that. You can just get the smaller ones and look at those. This is a clip from one of the JPEGs which wasn't too big, and you can see two of these things here, but when you zoom in close it doesn't get great because this is from a lower res image. But yeah, there we go, it's like two waterfalls there. I mean, it seems pretty obvious. If you've got a load of ice up here and you've got a cliff edge and you've got like a lower area below, and a cliff which is probably something like 500 or 600 feet, I'd say this is about 600 here and about maybe 700 or 800 over here. You know, it seems pretty obvious that at certain times of the year the sun would melt the ice, and the ice turns into water, obviously, and would trickle down and cause a waterfall. I don't see what's difficult about that. Why they didn't actually say that in the description, I don't know. But this is probably another example of NASA and their strategic vagueness, which they tend to use a hell of a lot when showing really quite interesting images, and simply kind of refusing to admit what they're looking at out of some kind of weird prejudice, or maybe they're under orders or something, I don't know. But this one was clearer, this clip I'd taken, and that's pretty cool. You can clearly see what looks like running water coming down here. Really nice indeed. And a big cloud of dust coming up. So is it just an avalanche of solid material? It looks like water to me, and this looks like water running out from underneath. Let's see it underneath here. So there will be clips coming up. There are a few other images I was going to show you. I'll put clips of these in at the end so you can have a proper look instead of me jerking around all over the place. I'm in a bit of a hurry here because I'm expecting someone round in a minute. I've got to try and get this video done first. There was this other folder with loads of other possible images of water on Mars. This is one of my favourites. This is another high-rise image. This has what looks like a hot spring lake here with liquid water up here and steam rising from here. And this is the one with the obelisk in it as well. This is really cool. I have done a couple of videos on this, which I'll put links at the end to any relevant videos that which I think are related to this as well, and also a link to my Mars Water playlist as well. Mars Water, Lakes and Rivers, I think the playlist is called. So that will be coming up at the end. This is really cool. Massive obelisk here and another very interesting structure here. Really cool. So there we go. And there are lots of other images here that look like liquid water. There's this one with the water running down the side, which looks like, well, this is the top of a mountain, and there is meltwater causing these stains along the side of the mountain here. There are loads of these. I'll take a few clips of some of these and put them in at the end. There's also this one which I mentioned before, which is a rolling rock. Rolling rocks on Earth are caused by ice. You tend to get them in places like the Bonneville Lake, places like that in the US, where you have these salt lake very flat surfaces, and what happens is you get a high rainfall, a sudden amount of water, say a few inches of water, will form on the surface where you get a high amount of precipitation, and then this then freezes, and then what happens the next day when the sun comes out is the ice starts to break up, and then the wind blows the ice, little miniature icebergs along, and these large kind of sheets of ice then push the rock and make it move. And this may happen, it may push it a few times, you know, one day, and then the ice will then refreeze and then crack again the next day, and then it will push it a couple more times, and it can then form a long trail like this. They've long been a mystery on Earth, and they're on Mars as well. Now, if they're on Mars, that proves there must be at least liquid water some of the time. So there must be sheets of ice here at certain times of the year which melt and break up and then get blown by the wind, and then the little mini icebergs then push the rock along, causing it to leave a trail behind it like this. So that in itself is proof that there at least some of the time is liquid water on the surface of Mars. NASA have only admitted this recently. They've only admitted that there is liquid water or they haven't even admitted that really. They say there is water on Mars, but it is frozen, and that they never go into any detail about when it might be unfrozen. Here's another one. This is probably caused by the same phenomena, where ice has probably come along here and pushed the rock along. You can clearly see a trail behind it, where it's made a very nice kind of trail there, and there's kind of ended up there, right? So there are lots of these on Mars, and I think they're caused by liquid water and mini icebergs pushing along the rock, which is exactly how it happens on Earth. So there we are. Oh, and there's this one. I almost forgot. This is an even better image, I think, of a similar area to what I was showing you earlier. It doesn't say what the image number is on here, so I don't know if I'll be able to find a link to this. I'll see if I can. But this looks like another avalanche stroke waterfall, and there is water here. Okay. You can see it running along here, coming out, and more coming out here, and then causing this dust cloud here. Really cool. That is a nice clear image, and you can see more here. Now, I can't see how that's just an avalanche. That is what looks like meltwater coming out rather suddenly, bursting out from under the ice up here, and then causing a cloud of dust here. And perhaps this is water flow along the bottom as well. But of course, depending on what time of year this is, this may only remain unfrozen for a matter of hours until nightfall, when it gets very, very cold on Mars, especially in the winter, of course. But the seasons are much longer on Mars. They go on for much longer, because the Martian year is practically double the length of ours, and this means that the seasons would be the same, in the same order as ours, but much, much longer, because Mars also has a very similar axial tilt to Earth as well. So we get winter and summer and spring and everything else like we do. But this was a cool one. I'll take some clips of that and put it in at the end as well. So that was about it really, guys. Some of these are just pictures of ice and CO2 ice as well, not just water ice. But there's the original clip here, which I probably made years ago. Let's have a look at the properties of that image, see how old that is. 2015, yeah, so that's a while back now. So there we go. But some awesome stuff here, and there's this lovely image here, which is a similar area where you've got this ice layer and what look like water running out down here, but there's not as much detail in here, so you can't really see it up close. And also this is upside down. But some of these high-rise images really are quite stunningly beautiful, and I think are probably the best images we've ever taken in space, really, along with some of the Hubble images maybe. They really are quite amazing and quite beautiful. Here's another big water stain here, coming off the edge of a mountainside. There's quite a few of them actually. This one looks quite fresh up here. So there is obviously a water activity on Mars. It does rain on Mars, but apparently it only rains ice crystals according to NASA. I beg to differ on that. I think if it rained at a certain time of year, then those ice crystals would melt and it would be liquid rain. So they're being very strategically vague. This is what politicians do when they're backed into a corner also. They really don't tell you anything. They give you statements, they give you official statements that really don't say or even begin to cover what we're seeing on the surface, which I think is blatantly dishonest. I don't think it's a lot of the people at NASA are perfectly good people. Most of them are engineers and technicians, and I don't think they're in a conspiracy at all. I think there are a few people controlling the information as it comes out and restricting it. And I think probably a lot of NASA scientists are very frustrated. I have spoken to some of them personally online, and they have sent me messages via email and via my YouTube channel saying these things. So I'm not making this up, and I can fully understand their position. How frustrating that must be when the powers that be, the people in control, the puppet masters, are censoring Mars, they're censoring the moon, they're censoring the news, they're censoring everything that we get. And we often only get a kind of very watered down, sort of sanitized version of reality. This is certainly the case with Mars, for sure. This is a nice one. This looks like a lake here. Really nice image. So I'll put some more clips coming up in a couple of minutes or in about 30 seconds. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you soon. Please give the thumbs up and share it on social media.